"Sir, I'll have them moved immediately. This is your seat." A flight attendant says to a wealthy CEO who is looking impatiently at a woman and her two small children sitting in his first-class pod. The man steps forward, ready to reclaim his seat, but he stops dead in his tracks when he recognizes the woman. He looks from her face to the two little blonde-haired boys beside her, and his entire world shatters. What he didn't know was that this wasn't just his ex-girlfriend. These were the sons he never knew he had. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now subscribe to the channel and let's get started. "Sir, I'll have them moved immediately. This is your seat." The flight attendant's voice was firm but apologetic as she gestured toward seat 2A. Marcus Johnson nodded, his tired eyes fixed on the woman and two small boys occupying his first-class seat. He opened his mouth to agree, but the words died in his throat. The woman looked up, and time seemed to stop. "Nia?" His voice came out as barely a whisper. Nia Taylor's face drained of color as their eyes locked across the narrow aisle of United Airlines flight UA334. "Marcus?" The two small boys beside her looked up with curious expressions. They appeared to be about 6 years old, with striking blonde hair and bright blue eyes. Marcus felt a jolt of recognition. They looked exactly like the childhood photos that hung in his parents' home in Denver. "I'm so sorry for the confusion," the flight attendant, whose name tag read Jessica, continued. "We can move them to—" "No," Marcus said quickly, finding his voice. "It's fine. I can take another seat." Jessica looked confused but nodded. "There's an empty seat in 4C if that works for you, sir." "That's perfect," Marcus said, unable to tear his eyes away from the twins. As he settled into his new seat, Marcus's mind raced. He had just closed a $50 million deal with investors in New York for his software company, Tech Vision. He should have been celebrating or at least enjoying the quiet luxury of first class on his way back to the West Coast. Instead, he was staring at the back of seat 3C, trying to process what he'd just seen. Nia Taylor, his college sweetheart, the woman he'd planned to propose to 7 years ago before a job opportunity in Silicon Valley had pulled them apart. And those boys, they had to be about 6 years old. The timing aligned perfectly with their breakup. "Can I get you something to drink, Mr. Johnson?" Jessica appeared beside him with a warm smile. She recognized him from his frequent first-class trips. "Water, please, and maybe a whiskey," Marcus said, loosening his tie. "Rough day?" she asked as she poured his drinks. "Just got a lot more complicated," he admitted. After Jessica moved on, Marcus pulled out his phone. He scrolled to a folder labeled Family and found a childhood photo his mother had sent him last Christmas. The resemblance between 6-year-old Marcus and those two boys was undeniable. The realization hit him like a physical blow. He had children. Twin sons he knew nothing about. 20 minutes into the flight, one of the boys dropped a toy dinosaur that rolled down the aisle toward Marcus's feet. He picked it up and walked it back to their row. "I think this belongs to you," he said, handing the toy to the boy on the aisle seat. "Thanks." The child took it with a smile that was achingly familiar. "I'm Leo." "I'm Marcus," he replied, his throat tight. Leo's brother leaned over. "I'm Max. We have the same face because we're twins." "I can see that," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. Nia looked up, her expression a mixture of fear and resignation. "Thank you for the toy, and for letting us keep the seats." "It's no problem," Marcus said. "Jessica mentioned your economy flight was cancelled." Nia nodded. "Mechanical issues. They upgraded us because it was the only option left." "Lucky coincidence," Marcus said, though he wasn't sure if lucky was the right word. "Our first time in first class," Leo announced proudly. "Mom says it's super expensive." "Leo," Nia said quietly, a warning in her tone. "It's nice to meet you both," Marcus said to the boys, then looked at Nia. Maybe we could talk later? When they're settled? She hesitated, then nodded. They'll probably fall asleep soon. It's been a long day. As Marcus returned to his seat, he couldn't stop watching the little family from the corner of his eye. Leo was animated, talking excitedly to his mother about something, while Max was quieter, looking out the window at the clouds. They had different personalities, but both had his eyes, his nose, his blonde hair that was just starting to darken at the roots, just like his had done at their age. Marcus pulled out his phone again and took a discreet photo of the boys. He compared it side by side with his childhood picture. There was no doubt in his mind. He sent a quick text to his assistant. "Sarah, clear my schedule for tomorrow. Family emergency. We'll explain later." An hour into the flight, Marcus observed that the twins had both fallen asleep. Nia was looking back at him, her expression unreadable. She stood and made her way to his row. "May I?" She gestured to the empty seat beside him. "Please," he said, turning to face her fully. Up close, she was still beautiful, though her face showed the strain of what must have been years of single parenthood. Her dark, curly hair was shorter than he remembered, styled in a practical cut that framed her face. "I don't even know where to start," she said quietly. "How about with them?" Marcus nodded toward the sleeping boys. "They're mine, aren't they?" Nia met his eyes directly. "Yes, Leo and Max are your sons." Even though he had already figured it out, hearing the confirmation made Marcus's heart race. "Why didn't you tell me?" 7 years, Nia. They must be what, 6 years old now? 6.5, she corrected. Their birthday is in February. "Which means you were already pregnant when we broke up," Marcus said, the pieces falling into place. "I found out 2 weeks after you left for California," Nia admitted. "I tried calling you twice, but your number had changed." "I changed it after that tech conference," Marcus remembered. "Too many recruiters had my personal number. I sent you an email with the new one." "I never got it," Nia said, "and then I saw your name in the news a few months later. Rising star in Silicon Valley. You seemed so focused on building your company. I figured a ready-made family wasn't part of your plan." Marcus ran a hand through his hair, frustration building. "You should have tried harder to reach me. These are my children, Nia. I had a right to know." "Bye? And you never came looking for me either," she pointed out, a hint of old pain in her voice. "I wasn't exactly hiding." They sat in tense silence for a moment. "Tell me about them," Marcus finally said. Nia's expression softened. "They're amazing kids. Leo is our social butterfly. He plays soccer, makes friends everywhere he goes. Max is quieter, more thoughtful. He loves dinosaurs and science. They both go to Westside Elementary in Los Angeles, 1st grade. And you? What have you been doing?" Marcus asked. "I'm an editor at the Los Angeles Tribune," she said with a small smile. "I made it in journalism after all." Marcus nodded, remembering her dream. At least one of them had stayed on their planned path. "What happens now?" Nia asked, voicing the question hanging between them. Before Marcus could answer, Leo's voice called out, "Mom, where are you?" "I'm here, sweetie," Nia called back, standing quickly. "I need to get back to them. We can talk more later." As she returned to her sons, Marcus watched how naturally she calmed Leo, smoothing his hair and helping him get comfortable again. She was a good mother. That much was clear. Marcus turned to look out the window at the endless sky. 36 hours ago, his biggest concern had been closing the $50 million deal. Now he had discovered he was a father to 6-year-old twin boys who had grown up without him. His carefully structured life, the 80-hour work weeks, the international travel, the single-minded focus on building tech vision, suddenly seemed empty in comparison to what he'd missed. First steps, first words, first days of school. The fasten seatbelt sign turned off with a gentle ding. Marcus calculated they had exactly 5 hours and 27 minutes left in the flight. 5 hours to begin to understand what it meant to be a father before they landed and his new reality truly began. Marcus checked his watch as the flight continued over the Midwestern states. 2 hours had passed since takeoff, and he could no longer simply sit and watch from a distance. He stood up, straightened his suit jacket, and walked toward row 2 where Naya sat with the boys. "Do you mind if I join you for a few minutes?" Marcus asked, gesturing to the empty seat across the aisle. Nia looked up from her magazine and nodded. "Sure." Leo was playing a game on a tablet while Max was drawing in a small notebook. Both boys glanced up briefly as Marcus sat down. "So," Marcus began awkwardly, "you live in Los Angeles now?" "Yes, we have a small apartment in Culver City," Nia replied. "It's close to the boys' school and my office at the Tribune. The newspaper business must have changed a lot since we were in college." "Everything changes," Nia said quietly, looking at the twins. Leo looked up from his game. "Mom says you knew her a long time ago." "That's right," Marcus said, surprised by the boys' directness. "We went to college together." "Did you know us when we were babies?" Leo asked. Marcus felt his chest tighten. "No, I didn't." "Why not?" Leo pressed. "Leo, that's enough questions," Nia interjected. "Why don't you show Marcus your game?" Leo eagerly turned his tablet toward Marcus. "I have to collect the stars to unlock new levels. I'm on level 24. "That's impressive," Marcus said, grateful for the change in subject. "What about you, Max? What are you drawing?" Max held up his notebook, revealing a carefully drawn dinosaur. "It's a triceratops. They lived in the Cretaceous period." "He knows everything about dinosaurs," Naya explained with a proud smile. The plane suddenly jerked, and the seatbelt sign illuminated with a ding. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing some turbulence," the captain's voice announced over the intercom. "Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts." Another jolt shook the plane. Max dropped his notebook and gripped the armrests, his eyes wide with fear. "I don't like this," he whispered, his breathing becoming rapid and shallow. Marcus instinctively moved across the aisle and knelt beside Max's seat. "Hey, it's okay. The plane is just passing through some rough air." Max's breathing grew faster. Naya reached for her son's hand. "Deep breaths, sweetie." "I know something that might help," Marcus said. "My dad taught me this when I was scared. Put one hand on your stomach like this." He demonstrated by placing his own hand on his abdomen. "Now breathe in through your nose for 4 counts, then out through your mouth for 4 counts. Max mimicked Marcus, placing his small hand on his stomach. "Good," Marcus encouraged. "Now breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. 1, 2, 3, 4. They repeated the exercise several times until Max's breathing slowed and his grip on the armrest relaxed. "That's exactly what my doctor told us to do when Max has asthma problems," Nia said, looking at Marcus with surprise. "Does someone in your family have asthma?" "I did as a kid," Marcus replied. "My dad taught me that breathing technique." Max was watching Marcus closely now. "Your dad taught you?" he asked. "Yes. My dad is a math teacher in Denver. He's very good at helping people feel better when they're scared." Leo leaned over his brother to look at Marcus. "Why do you have the same eyes as us?" "Mom says our eyes are special blue." The question caught Marcus off guard. He looked to Nia, unsure how to respond. "Let's talk about that later," Nia said quickly. "Why don't you boys watch a movie? We still have a long flight ahead." She helped them set up their tablets and headphones. Within minutes, the twins were absorbed in their movies. "Thank you for helping with Max," Nia said quietly. "He gets anxious during turbulence." "He has asthma?" Marcus asked. "Mild case. The doctor says he might outgrow it." Marcus nodded. "I did, mostly. I only have problems when I get a bad cold now." An uncomfortable silence settled between them. "Nia, we need to talk privately," Marcus finally said. "About the boys." She glanced at the twins, now happily distracted. "Jessica mentioned there's a small galley area at the back of first class. It should be empty now that meal service is over." They made their way to the back of the cabin. The small area was indeed empty, offering a semblance of privacy. "Leo asked why I have the same eyes as them," Marcus began. "They're going to keep asking questions." Nia sighed and leaned against the counter. "I know. They are my sons, aren't they?" Even though he already knew the answer, he needed to hear it directly from her. "Yes, Marcus. Leo and Max are your children." Her voice was steady, but her eyes showed the weight of this confession. Marcus took a deep breath. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I tried," Nia said. "I called your number twice in the weeks after we broke up. It was disconnected. I emailed you once, but never heard back." "I changed my number after that tech conference," Marcus said. "Too many people had my personal contact. But I sent you an email with my new information." "I never received it," Nia said. "My old email account had problems around that time, and then I saw your name in the news, the rising tech entrepreneur Marcus Johnson, and you seemed so focused on your career path." Marcus ran his hand through his hair in frustration. "You could have found me. My company has a website, social media accounts. My parents still live in the same house in Denver." "I was 23 years old and pregnant with twins," Nia said, her voice rising slightly. "I was terrified. When I couldn't reach you directly, I took it as a sign. You had moved on to bigger things." "That wasn't your decision to make," Marcus said, anger seeping into his voice. "These are my children, Nia. I've missed 6 years of their lives. Their first steps, first words, first day of school, everything. And where would they have fit into your life?" Nia challenged. "The life of a startup CEO working 80 hours a week, flying between San Francisco and New York for investor meetings?" Marcus pulled out his phone and opened his calendar app, showing her the color-coded blocks that represented his overscheduled life. "You're right," he admitted. "My life has been all about the company. But I should have been given the choice." Nia reached into her purse and pulled out her old phone. "I keep this as a backup. Look." She scrolled to her call history and showed him the 2 failed calls to his number from 7 years ago. "I did try, Marcus." The evidence of her attempt deflated some of his anger. He stared at the phone screen, imagining Nia, alone and pregnant, trying to reach him. "What do they know about me?" he asked softly. "Not much," Nia admitted. "I've told them their father lives far away and can't be with us. I didn't want them to think you rejected them." Marcus felt a rush of gratitude for this small kindness. "Thank you for that." "So, what happens now?" Nia asked. Before Marcus could answer, the plane hit another patch of turbulence. Jessica appeared at the entrance to the galley. "I'm sorry, but you'll need to return to your seats," she said. "The captain expects more turbulence ahead." As they walked back to their seats, Marcus glanced at the sleeping twins. Despite his anger about the past, he couldn't deny how well they looked. Healthy, clean, clearly well loved. "You've done a good job with them," he said as they reached Nia's row. "Thank you," she said. "They're good kids." Marcus returned to his seat and stared out the window at the clouds below. His $50 million deal suddenly seemed insignificant compared to what he had just discovered. He had sons, 2 bright, beautiful boys who had no idea who he really was. As the plane continued its journey westward, Marcus pulled out his phone again and looked at the photo he had taken of the twins. He noticed a man several rows back watching their interaction with interest. The same man who had been at the gate with Nia and the boys. Another complication in an already overwhelming situation. The man who had been watching them from several rows back stood up and headed toward the restroom, glancing at Marcus as he passed by. Marcus turned his attention back to the twins, who were now stirring from their nap. Max rubbed his eyes while Leo stretched dramatically, accidentally bumping his brother. "Watch it," Max complained. "Sorry," Leo said, then noticed Marcus looking at them. "Mom, your friend is looking at us again." Nia turned around and met Marcus's gaze. After a moment's hesitation, she nodded slightly. Marcus took this as an invitation and moved to the empty seat next to their row. "Boys," Naya said carefully. "This is Marcus. He's an old friend of mine from college." "Hi," Leo said immediately, while Max simply observed Marcus with cautious eyes. "It's nice to meet you both properly," Marcus said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Your mom was just telling me you're in first grade at Westside Elementary." "Yeah," Leo nodded enthusiastically. "I'm in Miss Daniels' class, Max too." "Do you live in Los Angeles?" Max asked quietly, his blue eyes, so similar to Marcus's own, studying him intently. "I live in San Francisco," Marcus answered, "but I come to Los Angeles often for work." "What's your job?" Leo asked, bouncing slightly in his seat. "I run a company called Tech Vision. We make software that's like the programs that make your tablets and computers work." Leo's eyes widened. "Do you make games?" "Some of our software is used in games, yes," Marcus smiled. "Cool," Leo exclaimed. "Do you have a big office?" "Is there a snack room?" "My friend Jacob's dad works at a place with free snacks all day." Marcus pulled out his phone. "Actually, I do. Want to see some pictures?" Both boys nodded, even Max showing interest now. Marcus scrolled to photos of the Tech Vision headquarters and showed them the modern open workspace with large windows overlooking the San Francisco Bay. "This is the main work area," he explained, swiping to the next picture. "And here's our game room where people can take breaks." "You have arcade games at work?" Leo asked in disbelief, pointing at the vintage arcade cabinets along one wall. "And ping pong," Max added, spotting the table in the corner. "We do," Marcus confirmed. "And here's the snack area with drinks and food." Leo looked at Nia. "Mom, can we visit his office sometime?" Nia gave a nervous smile. "We'll see, Leo. San Francisco is pretty far away." "Actually," Marcus said, "we're opening a new office in Los Angeles soon." This was a lie, or at least it had been until 5 minutes ago when the idea suddenly formed in his mind. "Really?" Nia asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," Marcus said firmly. "The plans have been in motion for a while." Max, who had been quietly studying Marcus's face, suddenly spoke up. "We're building rockets for the science fair next month." "Rockets?" Marcus asked, genuinely interested. "They're not real rockets," Leo clarified. "They're made of paper and they fly with baking soda and vinegar." "That sounds like a great project," Marcus said. "I used to build model rockets with my dad when I was about your age." "You did?" Max asked, his voice losing some of its caution. "Yes, my dad is a math teacher, but he loves science too. We would build rockets and launch them in the park near our house in Denver." "Did they go super high?" Leo asked, stretching his arms up to demonstrate. "Some of them did," Marcus laughed. "Others crashed right after takeoff." "That happened to us too," Max said, forgetting his shyness. "Our first test rocket went sideways and hit Miss Pearson's fence." Marcus noticed Nia watching this interaction with mixed emotions on her face. Concern, tenderness, and something else he couldn't quite identify. "Would you like to see some of our drawings for the rocket?" Max offered, reaching for his backpack. "I'd love to," Marcus said, his heart swelling with unexpected joy. Max pulled out a folder with carefully labeled tabs and removed several papers with colorful drawings of rockets. The attention to detail was impressive for a 6-year-old. "You're very organized," Marcus observed. "Max likes everything in its place," Nia explained. "His side of the bedroom is always neat, while Leo's looks like a tornado hit it." "Hey!" Leo protested. "I know where everything is." "Just like me," Marcus said. "I've always been organized, too." The flight attendant arrived with their meal service. Jessica placed trays in front of each of them. "I brought one for you, too, Mr. Johnson," she said to Marcus, "since you're visiting with your friends." "Thank you, Jessica," Marcus replied. As they began eating, Marcus noticed Max carefully separating the different food items on his plate, making sure nothing touched. Marcus glanced down at his own tray, where he had unconsciously done the exact same thing. Nia noticed too. "You both eat the same way," she said softly. Leo was less particular, already mixing his mashed potatoes and peas together. "Max is weird about his food," he said through a mouthful. "Leo, don't talk with your mouth full," Nia reminded him. "And I'm not weird," Max defended himself. "I just don't like when the flavors get all mixed up." "I feel the same way," Marcus said. "I've always eaten like this." Max looked up at Marcus with new interest. "Really?" "Really," Marcus confirmed, "and it doesn't make you weird. It just means you enjoy tasting each food separately." Max smiled, the first real smile he'd directed at Marcus, before returning to his carefully sectioned meal. As they ate, Leo bombarded Marcus with questions about his job, his car, his watch, and whether he knew any famous people. Marcus answered each question patiently, treasuring this unexpected time with his sons. "Do you have kids?" Leo asked suddenly. The question caught Marcus off guard. He glanced at Nia, who had tensed beside her son. "No," Marcus answered truthfully. "I don't have any children." Then he added, "Not that I've been raising anyway." The qualification went over the boys' heads, but Nia understood his meaning. "What about a wife?" Leo continued his interrogation. "Leo," Nia scolded gently, "that's enough questions." "It's okay," Marcus assured her. "No, Leo, I'm not married." "Mom's not married either," Leo informed him unnecessarily. "I gathered that," Marcus said with a small smile. After they finished eating, Nia pulled out her phone to show Marcus some recent photos of the boys. "This was their birthday party in February," she said, displaying pictures of the twins blowing out candles on a dinosaur-themed cake. "They turned 6, she added, her voice carrying a weight that only Marcus would understand. 6 years he had missed. "February 10th, Marcus said quietly. "That means they were born exactly 9 months after—" Nia nodded slightly, confirming his calculation. The boys had returned to their tablets, giving the adults a moment to talk. "They're amazing, Nia," Marcus said sincerely. "You've done an incredible job with them." "Thank you," she replied. "It hasn't always been easy, but we've managed." "I want to be part of their lives," Marcus said, his voice low enough that the twins couldn't hear. "Marcus, you can't just walk in and—" "I know," he interrupted. "I know it's complicated, but they're my sons. Now that I've met them, I can't just walk away." Nia studied his face for a moment. "What are you proposing?" "First, I'd like to see them after we land. Maybe dinner later this week? Give everyone time to process this situation." Nia considered this. "That seems reasonable. But Marcus, they don't know who you really are yet. I need time to figure out how to tell them." "I understand," Marcus said. "We can take it one step at a time." Leo suddenly looked up from his game. "Can Marcus come see our rocket when it's done?" "Would you like that?" Marcus asked, trying to keep the eagerness from his voice. "Yeah." Leo nodded vigorously. "You can help us if it crashes again." "I'd be happy to help," Marcus said, looking to Nia for approval. "We'll see," she said, but her tone was softer now. Marcus noticed the man who had been watching them earlier was now back in his seat, occasionally glancing in their direction with a concerned expression. Marcus wondered who he was and what role he played in his sons' lives. "When does your science fair happen?" Marcus asked, turning his attention back to the boys. "In 3 weeks," Max answered, "on a Thursday." "I'll be there," Marcus promised, making a mental note to clear his calendar. Leo spilled his juice, and Marcus quickly helped clean up the mess while Nia went to get more napkins. As they worked together, Marcus felt a strange sense of rightness, as if he had done this countless times before. Marcus handed Leo a clean napkin as Nia returned from the galley. "Here, make sure your tablet didn't get wet." "Thanks," Leo said, carefully wiping his device. A tall man with dark-rimmed glasses approached their row, his eyes moving from Nia to Marcus with obvious concern. "Everything okay here?" he asked, placing a hand lightly on Nia's shoulder. "We're fine, Greg," Nia said. "Just a small spill." Greg looked at Marcus with undisguised curiosity. "And you are?" "Marcus Johnson," Marcus said, standing to offer his hand. "An old friend of Nia's from college. Greg Harper," the man replied, shaking Marcus's hand firmly. "I work with Nia at the Tribune." Marcus noticed how comfortable Greg seemed with the boys as Max immediately showed him his dinosaur drawing. "That's amazing, buddy," Greg said, ruffling Max's hair in a familiar gesture. "You're getting better every time." "Did you get us the snacks you promised?" Leo asked Greg. "Right here." Greg pulled 2 small bags of cookies from his pocket. "But only after you finish your lunch." "I already ate everything," Leo protested, showing his empty tray. "Me too," Max added. Greg laughed and handed them each a bag. "All right, you earned them." Marcus watched this interaction with growing unease. This man clearly had an established relationship with his sons. The thought created an uncomfortable tightness in his chest. "Greg sits in the economy section," Nia explained. "He was just checking on us." "I should get back to my seat," Greg said, seeming to sense the tension. "Nice meeting you, Marcus." As Greg walked away, Leo spoke up. "Greg takes us camping. Last summer we caught fish and cooked them on a real fire. It was our first father-son experience," Greg added over his shoulder with a friendly smile, clearly meaning no harm. Marcus felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. "Excuse me for a moment," he said, standing abruptly. "Need to use the restroom." Inside the small lavatory, Marcus stared at his reflection in the mirror. The face looking back at him had the same blue eyes as the twins, the same slightly crooked smile that Leo had flashed when talking about rockets, the same serious expression Max wore when concentrating on his drawings. Father-son experience. The words echoed in his mind. While he had been building his company, attending board meetings, and closing million-dollar deals, another man had been taking his sons camping, teaching them to fish, being there for birthdays and school events. After splashing cold water on his face, Marcus returned to find Greg back in the economy section and the boys showing Nia something on their tablets. He took a deep breath and rejoined them. "Everything okay?" Nia asked quietly. "Fine," Marcus said, though they both knew it wasn't true. Leo looked up. "Greg showed us pictures from our camping trip. Want to see?" Before Marcus could respond, Leo had thrust his tablet into Marcus's hands. The screen showed photos of the boys at a lakeside campsite, both wearing matching fishing hats and holding small fish. Greg stood behind them, one hand on each boy's shoulder, all 3 smiling broadly. "Greg taught us how to fish," Max explained, "and how to make a tent." "That looks fun," Marcus managed to say, handing the tablet back. "Why weren't you there?" Leo asked innocently. The question hung in the air between them. Nia tensed beside her son. I was working," Marcus answered truthfully, "in San Francisco. Greg works too, but he still came," Leo pointed out with a child's direct logic. "Leo, that's enough," Nia said gently. "Different people have different jobs. Some jobs require more travel than others." Marcus watched as Leo returned to his game, apparently satisfied with this explanation. Max, however, continued to study Marcus with those penetrating blue eyes that seemed to see more than a 6-year-old should. "Your job must be very important," Max said finally. "I thought it was," Marcus replied honestly. "I've been working very hard for many years." "Is that why your hair is turning gray?" Max asked, pointing to Marcus's temples. Marcus couldn't help but laugh. "Probably. Greg has gray hair too, but he dyes it," Leo announced, causing Nia to choke back a laugh. "Leo! That's supposed to be a secret," she scolded, though her eyes were amused. "But it's true," Leo shrugged. "He told me so." The conversation shifted to safer topics after that. Marcus learned about the boys' school, their friends, and their neighborhood in Culver City. The more he heard, the more he realized how complete their lives were without him. They had a routine, friends, activities they loved. Where would he fit in? As they talked, Marcus noticed that Max had a small stuffed dinosaur tucked beside him. "Is that a triceratops?" Marcus asked, pointing to the toy. Max nodded, surprised. How did you know? I liked dinosaurs when I was your age too, Marcus said. The Triceratops was always one of my favorites. Mine is actually the Ankylosaurus, Max corrected, reaching into his backpack to pull out another toy. They had armor and a club tail for protection. Very cool, Marcus agreed. I remember learning about those. You don't look like Greg, Leo observed suddenly, looking between Marcus and the back of the plane where Greg sat. No, I don't, Marcus agreed carefully. Greg is tall and has brown eyes. You have blue eyes like us, Leo continued. Mom says we got our blue eyes from our dad. Marcus glanced at Nia, who had gone very still. Your mom is right, he said slowly. Blue eyes often come from parents. Max was now comparing Marcus's face to his own reflection in the dark screen of his tablet. The boy's brow furrowed in concentration. You look more like us than Greg does, Max concluded. Before Marcus could respond, Nia's phone rang. She checked the screen and excused herself to take the call in the galley area. That's probably Grandma, Leo explained. She calls Mom every day. Your grandmother? Marcus asked. Mom's grandma, Max clarified. She lives in Pasadena. We stay with her on weekends sometimes. She makes the best chocolate chip cookies, Leo added enthusiastically. Marcus nodded, filing away this new information. Nia's grandmother was still alive and involved in the boys' lives, another person who had been there while he remained oblivious to their existence. Nia returned a few minutes later, looking troubled. That was Grandma, she confirmed. She wanted to know what time we'll land. Is she picking us up? Max asked. No, Greg is driving us home, remember? His car is at the airport. Marcus saw another opportunity slipping away. I could give you a ride, he offered. I'm renting a car at LAX. Greg already has it arranged, Nia said. But thank you. Greg appeared again, making his way up the aisle. Everything okay? I saw you on the phone. Just Grandma checking in, Nia assured him. Greg nodded, then looked at Marcus. So, how do you two know each other again? We dated in college, Nia answered before Marcus could speak. At UCLA. Serious relationship? Greg asked, his tone casual but his eyes watchful. Yes, Marcus said firmly. Very serious. Greg seemed to consider this. And now you're reconnecting after… how long? 7 years, Nia said. The flight attendant appeared with the drink cart, interrupting their conversation. Can I get anyone a beverage? After she left, Greg lingered, clearly reluctant to leave Nia and the boys with Marcus. Greg, we're fine, Nia assured him. Go back to your seat and finish your article. The deadline is tomorrow. All right, he agreed reluctantly. But I'm just a few rows back if you need anything. Once Greg was gone, Marcus turned to Nia. He seems very protective of you and the boys. He's been a good friend, Nia said simply. One of the few people who didn't judge me for being a single mother. Is he more than a friend? Marcus asked, unable to stop himself. That's not really your business, Nia replied, her voice cooling. It is if he's playing a father role to my sons, Marcus countered. Nia's phone rang again, saving her from responding. She checked the screen and frowned. It's Grandma again. She never calls twice unless it's important. She stood up. Boys, stay with Marcus for a minute. As soon as Nia was out of earshot, Leo leaned over. Are you and Mom going to be friends now? I hope so, Marcus answered carefully. Greg wants to be Mom's boyfriend, Leo informed him. I heard him tell her that. Leo, that was a private conversation you overheard, Max scolded his brother. Mom said we shouldn't talk about it. Marcus tried to keep his expression neutral despite his surprise. Your mom makes her own decisions about things like that. I know, Leo sighed dramatically. But I wish we had a dad like other kids. Marcus felt his heart twist at the words. What about Greg? You seem to like him a lot. Greg is awesome, Leo agreed. But he's not our dad. Mom said our real dad lives far away. Marcus looked at his sons, because that's what they were, his sons, and realized the moment of truth was approaching faster than he'd expected. "Your real dad lives far away?" Marcus repeated softly, but before he could say more, the plane suddenly dropped. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking," a tense voice announced over the intercom. "We're encountering severe turbulence. All passengers and flight attendants, please return to your seats immediately and fasten your seatbelts." The aircraft shuddered violently. Drinks spilled across tray tables as the plane dipped again. Several passengers gasped. "I need to get back to my seat," Marcus said, standing up. Nia rushed back from the galley area. "Boys, seatbelts on tight." Another strong jolt rocked the plane. Max cried out in fear as his tablet flew from his hands. Leo's eyes went wide. Without thinking, Marcus lunged across the aisle just as the plane dropped sharply. He threw his arms over both boys, shielding them as a bag fell from an overhead compartment nearby. "It's okay," he said firmly, his body curved protectively over them. "Planes are built for this. We're safe." The twins clutched Marcus's arms as the plane continued to shake. Nia, now buckled in beside them, reached over to hold their hands. "Deep breaths, remember?" Marcus reminded Max, who was starting to hyperventilate. "In through your nose, out through your mouth." For several tense minutes, the four of them remained huddled together as the aircraft bounced through rough air. When the turbulence finally subsided, Marcus reluctantly returned to his seat, but not before seeing the grateful look in Nia's eyes. "Thank you," she mouthed silently. The captain's voice returned. "Folks, the worst is behind us, but please keep your seatbelts fastened for the next 30 minutes as a precaution." Jessica, the flight attendant, came by to check on everyone. "Is everyone all right here?" she asked, looking at the twins with concern. "We're okay," Nia assured her. "Just a little shaken up." "That was scary," Leo admitted, his usual confidence subdued. "You were very brave," Marcus told him. Max was staring at Marcus with a strange expression. "You protected us," he said quietly. "Of course," Marcus replied, the words coming easily. "That's what—" He stopped himself from saying, "fathers do." After Jessica left, Nia looked at the boys. "Why don't you watch a movie together?" "We still have a few hours before we land." Once the twins were settled with their headphones on, Nia gestured to the two empty seats across from them. "Let's talk there. They'll be fine for a few minutes." They moved to the empty seats, sitting face to face in the relative privacy of the forward cabin. "That was instinct," Nia said. "What you did during the turbulence." "Yes," Marcus admitted. "I didn't even think. I just needed to protect them." "Parental instinct," Nia said softly. "Even without practice." Marcus looked directly at her. "Nia, I need you to know something. Before I took that job in Silicon Valley, I was planning to propose to you." Nia's eyes widened. "What?" Marcus pulled out his phone and opened his cloud storage. He scrolled back 7 years and found the photo. "Look." The picture showed a small velvet box containing a simple diamond ring. "I bought it 2 weeks before I got the job offer," he explained. "I was waiting for the right moment." Nia stared at the photo, her expression stunned. "You never said anything." "The opportunity came up so suddenly. I thought you'd come with me, but when you said your journalism career was in Los Angeles..." Marcus trailed off. "I made a choice I've questioned many times since." Nia was quiet for a long moment. Then she opened her own phone gallery. "I want to show you something too." She pulled up a folder labeled, "For the Boys, Someday," and turned the screen toward Marcus. It contained dozens of news articles and photos about him and Tech Vision. "Every time you were featured in the news, I saved it," she explained. "I thought someday the boys might want to know who their father was and what he accomplished." Marcus scrolled through the collection, his throat tight. There were articles about Tech Vision's founding, its first major contract, the time Marcus was named to the 30 under 30 list in a major business magazine. "You kept all this for them," he said. "Yes. I never wanted them to think their father was nobody," Nia said. Even if they never met you, I wanted them to be proud of where they came from." Marcus handed the phone back, emotion making it hard to speak. "Thank you for that." He looked over at the twins, now happily absorbed in their movie. "I've achieved everything I thought I wanted," he said quietly. "The company is valued at over $200 million. I have a penthouse in San Francisco, a vacation home in Lake Tahoe, more money than I could spend in a lifetime." "Sounds like success," Nia observed. "That's what everyone says," Marcus agreed. "But I've never felt—" He struggled for the right word. "Complete. Something has always been missing." "And now?" Nia asked. "Now I understand what it was," Marcus said, looking at the boys again. Greg appeared beside them, slightly out of breath. The captain turned off the seatbelt sign. "Is everyone okay?" That was some serious turbulence. "We're all fine," Nia assured him. Marcus helped protect the boys when things got rough. Greg gave Marcus an appraising look, then nodded. "Thank you for that." "Of course," Marcus replied. Greg glanced between them. "Look, I think I should explain something. I'm not sure what Leo might have told you, but he mentioned you wanted to be Naya's boyfriend," Marcus said directly. Greg laughed, surprising Marcus. Kids and their half-heard conversations. "I told Nia she needs a boyfriend, not that I wanted to be one." "Greg is my best friend," Nia explained. "He's been incredibly supportive since the boys were born, but we're not romantically involved." "I'm gay, Marcus," Greg said simply. "I've been dating a wonderful man named David for the last 2 years. The boys adore him too." Marcus felt a rush of relief followed immediately by embarrassment. "I misunderstood." "The boys see Greg as an uncle figure," Nia explained. "He's been a male presence in their lives, which has been important. But he's never tried to replace their father." "I couldn't if I wanted to," Greg added. "They look exactly like you. I noticed it the moment I saw you with them." Jessica approached with a concerned expression. "Mr. Johnson, I just had an unusual request. The little boy in seat 2B asked me to ask you if you're really their dad." I wasn't sure what to say. All 3 adults froze. Max had removed his headphones and had apparently been watching them talk. "Thank you, Jessica," Marcus said after a moment. "We'll handle it." Jessica nodded and walked away. Marcus looked at Nia. "What do we tell them?" Nia took a deep breath. "The truth, I think. But carefully. They're only 6. "I'll give you some privacy," Greg said, squeezing Nia's shoulder supportively before returning to his seat in economy. Marcus and Nia moved back to sit with the boys. Max had nudged Leo and both had removed their headphones, looking at the adults with curious expressions. "Did you ask the flight attendant if I was your dad?" Marcus asked Max gently. Max nodded. "Are you? You look like us, and you have the same eyes, and you eat food the same way I do." Marcus looked at Nia, who gave a small nod. "Yes," he said simply. "I am your father." Leo's mouth dropped open. "Really? Like our real dad?" "Yes," Marcus confirmed, his heart racing. "But why haven't you been with us?" Leo asked. "Don't you like us?" "I like you both very much," Marcus said quickly. "But I didn't know about you until today." "How could you not know?" Max asked, his analytical mind trying to process this information. Nia stepped in. "Remember how I told you sometimes grown-ups lose touch with each other? That's what happened with Marcus and me. He moved away for his job before I knew I was going to have you." "And I didn't know how to find your mom," Marcus added. "If I had known about you, I would have been there." The boys were quiet, processing this revelation. "Do you have pictures of your house?" Max asked suddenly. Marcus was taken aback by the change in subject, but he nodded and pulled up photos on his phone. "This is my apartment in San Francisco," he said, showing them pictures of his modern penthouse. "And this," he continued, finding another album, "is my parents' house in Denver. It's where I grew up." "Your parents are our grandparents?" Leo asked, his eyes wide. Yes, Marcus smiled. They don't know about you yet, but they'll be very excited to meet you. Is this your room? Max asked, pointing to a photo of a bedroom with model airplanes hanging from the ceiling. It was when I was growing up, Marcus explained. I bought this house for my parents 2 years ago. It's the same house where I grew up. There are pictures of you on the wall, Max observed, pointing to framed photos visible in the background. Marcus zoomed in on one particular photo, himself at age 6 holding a science fair ribbon. The resemblance to the twins was unmistakable. You look just like us, Leo said in awe. Nia touched Marcus's arm. We should continue this conversation when we're not on a plane. It's a lot for everyone to process. When will we see you again after today? Max asked, his voice small but direct. Very soon, Marcus promised. I'm going to stay in Los Angeles for a while so we can spend time together. Can we go to your office with the games? Leo asked hopefully. Absolutely, Marcus said. And I'll come to your science fair to see your rocket. The captain's voice came over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we've begun our initial descent into Los Angeles. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival. Marcus realized they had reached their own point of no return. The lives of 2 families were about to change forever as they descended toward Los Angeles. We'll be landing in about 2 hours, Marcus said, checking his watch as the seatbelt sign turned off again. We should figure out what happens next. Nia nodded. The boys need time to process this. It's a lot for them to take in. Leo and Max had returned to their movie, though Max kept glancing over at Marcus every few minutes as if to confirm he was still there. There are some empty seats in the last row of first class, Nia suggested. We could talk more privately there. Marcus followed her to the back of the cabin where 2 empty seats faced each other across the aisle. I have so many questions, Marcus began. What school do they attend? What are their schedules like? Do they have any medical issues I should know about? How do we make this work? Slow down, Nia said with a small smile. One thing at a time. Marcus pulled out his phone and opened his calendar app. The screen was filled with colored blocks representing meetings, conference calls, and business trips. This is my schedule for the next month, he said, showing her. Board meetings, investor presentations, a tech conference in Boston, meetings in Singapore. Nia's eyes widened as she scrolled through the packed calendar. You weren't kidding about being busy. For the first time in my life, my success feels like an obstacle, Marcus admitted. Nia took a napkin from a nearby holder and pulled a pen from her purse. Let me show you the boys' weekly schedule. She sketched out a simple calendar. They're at Westside Elementary from 8:15 to 3 o'clock. Leo has soccer practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Max does art classes on Wednesdays. They visit my grandmother in Pasadena most Sundays. What about when you're working? Marcus asked. I have flexible hours at the Tribune. I work from 8:30 to 4:30, but I can work from home 2 days a week. Our neighbor Mrs. Wilson watches them after school until I get home. Marcus studied the napkin calendar, trying to imagine where he would fit into this established routine. I want to provide financial support, he said. Private school tuition, college funds, anything they need. Nia shook her head. We don't need your money, Marcus. I've supported them on my salary just fine. What they need is your presence in their lives, not your bank account. Her words stung, but Marcus knew she was right. I'm going to call my assistant to clear my schedule for the next 2 weeks. He dialed Sarah's number, putting the phone on speaker so Nia could hear. Marcus, is everything okay with your flight? Sarah answered on the second ring. The flight is fine, but I need you to clear my calendar for the next 2 weeks, Marcus said. There was a pause. 2 weeks? But you have the board meeting on Wednesday, and the Singapore investors are expecting all of it, Sarah. Cancel everything or reschedule. This is a family emergency. Another pause. Family emergency? Your parents? They're fine. I'll explain everything later, but this is priority 1. I'm staying in Los Angeles for at least 2 weeks. Okay, Sarah said, sounding completely confused. I'll start rearranging things. Should I book you a hotel? Yes, for tonight. But tomorrow I'll be looking at rental properties. Something in Culver City. After ending the call, Marcus looked up to see Nia staring at him. Rental properties? In Culver City? She asked. If I'm going to be part of their lives, I need to be close, Marcus explained. I'm thinking of opening a Los Angeles office for Tech Vision. I could split my time between San Francisco and LA. You'd do that? Completely rearrange your business for children you just met? They're not just children, Nia. They're my sons. Marcus pulled a napkin toward him and began sketching a rough organizational chart. My COO, Sarah, can handle more of the day-to-day in San Francisco. We already have video conferencing set up for remote work. Nia watched as he quickly drafted a new company structure. You make life-changing decisions very quickly. In business, you have to recognize opportunities instantly, Marcus replied. This isn't business, but the principle is the same. I won't miss any more of their lives. How do we tell them who you really are? Nia asked. I mean, they know you're their father now, but they don't understand what that means for their lives. What do you think? Marcus asked. Should we tell them everything right away or give them time to get to know me first? I think we start slowly, Nia said. Let them get comfortable with you before we talk about shared custody or anything formal. Shared custody, Marcus repeated the words. That sounds so legal. It is legal, Nia pointed out. We'll need formal agreements, especially if you're planning to be actively involved. Marcus nodded. I'll call my lawyer tomorrow. We can draft something fair. Nia pulled out her phone and showed him photos of the boys' school, their apartment building, and the park where they played. This is their life, she said softly. It's simple, but happy. While she talked, Marcus opened a real estate app and began browsing rental properties in Culver City. How about this one? He asked, showing her a modern house with a small backyard. It's only 10 minutes from your apartment. That's actually right near their school, Nia said, surprised. What about our first dinner together? Marcus asked. Would tomorrow night work? They have school tomorrow. How about Tuesday? There's a family restaurant they love called Moonlight Diner in Santa Monica. Tuesday it is, Marcus agreed. But I'd still like to see where they live after we land today, if that's okay. Nia hesitated. Greg is driving us home from the airport. I can follow in my rental car, Marcus suggested, just to see the neighborhood. Before Nia could answer, the boys appeared in the aisle. Mom, the movie is over, Leo announced. What are you doing? Just making some plans, Nia explained. Come sit down, we'll be landing soon. The twins climbed into the seats across from them, their eyes moving curiously between the adults. What kind of plans? Max asked. Marcus and Nia exchanged a look. We're planning when I can see you both again, Marcus explained. Would you like that? Leo nodded eagerly. Can we go to your office with all the games? Absolutely, Marcus smiled. In fact, I was thinking about opening a new office here in Los Angeles so I can see you more often. Really? Max's eyes widened. You'd do that for us? Yes, Marcus said simply. I would. The genuine surprise in his son's face made Marcus realize how much he needed to prove himself. Words wouldn't be enough. These boys had lived 6 years without him. They would need actions. Does this mean you're going to live with us? Leo asked. No, sweetie, Nia said quickly. Marcus will have his own place. But he'll be close enough to visit often. Like Greg, Leo nodded, accepting this explanation. Speaking of Greg, Nia said, I should let him know our plans have changed a bit. She stepped away to make a call. While she was gone, Marcus leaned forward. I have something important to tell you both. The twins looked at him expectantly. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you before, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. I didn't know about you, but that doesn't fix the years I missed. I promise I will be here for you from now on. Max studied him carefully. Do you promise for real? Because Jacob's dad promised to come to his birthday and never showed up. I promise for real, Marcus said firmly. When I make a commitment, I keep it. Pinky swear? Leo held out his small finger. Marcus linked his pinky with Leo's, then with Max's. Pinky swear. Nia returned and saw the three of them with their fingers linked. Her expression softened. Greg understands, she told Marcus. He said you can follow us home if you want to see the apartment. The flight attendants began moving through the cabin, collecting trash and preparing for landing. Please return to your seats and make sure your tray tables are stowed, Jessica announced. As they returned to their original seats, Marcus pulled up his phone calendar one more time. He deleted every appointment for the next 14 days with a single swipe. For the first time in his career, Marcus Johnson, CEO of Tech Vision, was putting family before business. The captain's voice came over the speaker. "Flight attendants, prepare for landing." Marcus looked out the window as the sprawl of Los Angeles came into view. Somewhere down there was a new life he never expected, one without strategic plans or guaranteed outcomes. As the wheels of the plane touched down at Los Angeles International Airport, Marcus realized his most important journey was just beginning. The plane touched down with a gentle bump, taxiing toward the terminal at Los Angeles International Airport. While other passengers began gathering their belongings, Marcus remained seated, watching Leo and Max as they pressed their faces to the window. "Look at that huge plane!" Leo pointed excitedly. "It's an Airbus A380, Max informed him. "It has 2 floors inside." Marcus smiled at Max's knowledge. "You know a lot about planes?" "He knows a lot about everything," Nia said proudly. "Max remembers facts like a computer." Jessica approached their row. "Mr. Johnson, we'll be at the gate in about 5 minutes. Is there anything you need before disembarking?" "I'm all set, thank you," Marcus replied. "Jessica, could I ask you something? The arrival form asks for the number of people in my party. Would you consider us to be traveling together?" The flight attendant glanced between Marcus and the family, clearly sensing something significant had happened during the flight. "That would be up to you, sir." After she moved on, Marcus pulled out his arrival form. He stared at the section that asked for number of people in your party, his pen hovering over the box. Slowly, he wrote 4 instead of his usual 1. Nia noticed and gave him a gentle smile. "So, about dinner tonight," she said. "I think we should keep it simple. The boys will be tired from traveling." "Of course," Marcus agreed. "What would work best?" "We could meet at Moonlight Diner in Santa Monica," Nia suggested. "It's their favorite place. The food is simple, and they have crayons and paper placemats to keep kids entertained." "Moonlight Diner sounds perfect," Marcus said. Greg joined them as the seatbelt sign turned off. "Everything set for after we land?" "Marcus is going to follow us to the apartment," Nia explained. "Then we'll meet for dinner later at Moonlight Diner." Greg nodded. "I'll drive carefully so you don't lose us in traffic." As passengers began to file out, Marcus hung back with Nia and the boys, helping gather their small backpacks and toys. "Before we get off," Marcus said quietly to Nia, "I should ask about some practical things. Do either of them have any allergies or health issues I should know about?" "Max has mild asthma," Nia said. "He has an inhaler in his backpack, but he rarely needs it unless he gets a cold or exercises too hard." "I had asthma as a child too," Marcus said. "I mostly outgrew it by my teens." "Leo is allergic to strawberries," Nia continued. "Not severely. He gets hives, but no breathing problems. And Max needs his food separated on his plate, as you've already noticed." "Just like me," Marcus smiled. "What about school? Are they in the same class?" "Yes, Ms. Daniels' first-grade class at Westside Elementary. Leo struggles a bit with reading but excels at math. Max is already reading at a 3rd-grade level, but finds social situations difficult sometimes." Marcus absorbed this information, storing away every detail. "I'll need their doctor's information, emergency contacts, everything." "I'll put together a file for you," Nia promised. As the crowd in the aisle thinned, they prepared to leave the plane. "I need to call my driver and cancel my pickup," Marcus said, pulling out his phone, "and arrange a rental car instead." While Marcus made his call, Greg took him aside. "Look, this is a lot for everyone to process," Greg said in a low voice. "I've been in their lives since they were babies, so let me give you some advice about the boys." "I'd appreciate that," Marcus said sincerely. "Max needs extra time to warm up to new situations," Greg explained. "Don't take it personally if he's quiet or seems distant at first. He processes things deeply before he shows his feelings." "And Leo?" Marcus asked. "Leo needs physical activity, lots of it. If he gets restless or cranky, a quick game of catch or even jumping jacks will help him reset. Oh, and he sleeps with a blue stuffed dog named Woof. Don't ever mention that Woof is a bear, not a dog. We made that mistake once." Marcus laughed. "Thanks for telling me." "They're great kids," Greg said. "They deserve to know their father." Meanwhile, Nia was on her phone. "Rachel, it's me. Yes, we landed safely, but something unexpected happened." She glanced at Marcus. "I met someone on the flight. The boy's father." After a pause, she continued, "Yes, really. Can you bring some clothes to my place? He'll need a change of clothes and toiletries. He only packed for a business trip." After everyone finished their calls, they moved toward the exit. "Thank you for flying with us," Jessica said as they left. She gave Marcus a knowing smile. "Enjoy your time with your family." The word family resonated with Marcus as they walked through the jetway. This was his family now. Unexpected, unplanned, but undeniably his. In the terminal, Leo complained about being tired from the long day. "Want a ride, buddy?" Marcus offered hesitantly. Leo nodded and Marcus lifted him onto his shoulders. The boy giggled with delight at being so high up. "Me too," Max requested. "I'll take turns," Marcus promised. "Leo first, then you." As they navigated through the crowded terminal toward baggage claim, Marcus felt a strange sense of rightness despite the surreal situation. Less than 24 hours ago, his biggest concern had been closing a $50 million deal. Now he was carrying his son on his shoulders through LAX. At baggage claim, Marcus helped collect their suitcases, adding them to his single carry-on bag. "We need to go to the rental car center," Marcus explained. "I'll meet you at the pickup area after I get my car." "I can come with you," Greg offered. "The boys can wait with Nia." "2 people will make it faster." As they walked to the rental center, Greg provided more insights about the twins. "Max is fascinated by dinosaurs, as you've seen. He can tell you facts about each one. Leo loves soccer and wants to be a goalkeeper like Tim Howard." "Tim Howard?" Marcus asked. "Famous American goalkeeper," Greg explained. "Leo has his poster on his bedroom wall." At the rental counter, Marcus upgraded from his reserved compact car to a large SUV. "I need something that can fit everyone comfortably," he explained to the agent. After getting the keys, Marcus and Greg returned to find Nia and the boys waiting patiently. "Ready to go?" Nia asked. "All set," Marcus replied. "I'll follow your car." As Greg led the way to his parking spot, Marcus pulled Nia aside. "I need to call my parents tonight," he said quietly. "They should know they have grandsons." "Of course," Nia agreed. "Do you think they'll be upset?" "Shocked, definitely," Marcus said. "But my mom has wanted grandchildren for years. They'll probably fly out immediately." While they talked, Marcus was simultaneously typing an email to his executive team on his phone. "Personal situation requires restructuring of leadership. Plan to open LA office immediately. Call tomorrow to discuss." He also opened a browser and searched "Family Lawyers, Los Angeles Paternity Rights." "I should warn you, our apartment isn't fancy," Nia said as they approached Greg's car. "It's small, but comfortable." "I don't care about that," Marcus assured her. "I just want to see where my sons have been growing up." Max tugged on Marcus's sleeve. "Are you really going to be at my school on Thursday for the science presentation?" "I wouldn't miss it," Marcus promised. "What time is it?" 2 o'clock, Max said. "I have to talk about the solar system." "I'll be there at 1:30, Marcus said firmly. "Front row." Max smiled. a small, reserved smile that nevertheless made Marcus's heart swell with pride. They reached Greg's car, a practical sedan with booster seats installed in the back. Marcus helped the boys into their seats while Greg loaded the luggage. "I'll send you the address," Nia said, showing Marcus her phone contact information. "The apartment is in Culver City, about 20 minutes from here, depending on traffic." "I'll be right behind you," Marcus promised. As he walked to his rental car, Marcus heard Leo call out, "Dad, can we ride in your car sometime?" "Dad." The word stopped Marcus in his tracks. He turned back, unable to hide his emotion. "Yes," he managed to say. "Anytime you want." Marcus stood frozen for a moment, the word "Dad" still echoing in his ears. With effort, he composed himself and waved to the boys before walking to his rental SUV. As he started the engine, his phone buzzed with a text from Nia. 1472 Palm Avenue, apartment 305, Culver City. The drive from LAX to Culver City took nearly 30 minutes due to afternoon traffic. Marcus followed Greg's sedan carefully, afraid to lose sight of it even for a moment. As they turned onto Palm Avenue, he got his first glimpse of the modest apartment complex where his sons had grown up. The 3-story building was painted a warm beige with red-tiled roofing, surrounded by small but well-maintained gardens. Greg pulled into a visitor's parking space, and Marcus parked beside him. Before he could even get out of his car, Leo was waving excitedly through the window of Greg's sedan. The small group gathered on the sidewalk. Max, who had been quiet during the drive, suddenly reached for Marcus's hand as they approached the building entrance. The simple gesture, his son's small fingers wrapping around his, felt more significant than any business deal Marcus had ever closed. "We're on the 3rd floor," Nia explained as they entered the building. "The elevator's a bit slow, but it works most days." The elevator creaked its way up to the 3rd floor, and they walked down a carpeted hallway to apartment 305. Nia unlocked the door, and the twins rushed inside. "Come in," she invited Marcus. "It's not much, but it's home." Marcus stepped into the apartment and immediately felt the warmth of a real home. The living room walls were covered with framed children's artwork, family photos, and colorful alphabet letters. A bookshelf overflowed with children's books and educational toys. A small dining table had 3 chairs and a collection of school papers neatly stacked on one end. "This is really nice," Marcus said sincerely. "Let me show you my room." Leo tugged at Marcus's sleeve. "Our room," Max corrected. The boys led Marcus down a short hallway to a bedroom clearly divided into 2 territories. Leo's side featured soccer posters, a blue bedspread with rocket ships, and toys scattered across the floor. Max's side was neater, with dinosaur models carefully arranged on a shelf, a green bedspread, and books stacked on a small desk. "That's my blue dog, Woof," Leo pointed to a worn stuffed animal on his pillow. "And these are my dinosaurs," Max said proudly. "I have 27 different kinds." Marcus knelt down to examine the collection. "I recognize this one, Triceratops. And this is Ankylosaurus, right?" Max's eyes widened. "You know dinosaurs?" "A little," Marcus admitted. "I liked them when I was your age too." While the boys showed Marcus their room, Greg helped Nia in the kitchen, preparing drinks and snacks. "Leo, Max," Nia called, "come wash your hands. You've been traveling all day." As the boys ran to the bathroom, Marcus took a moment to look around the apartment more carefully. He noticed there was no evidence of a man living there, no male clothing, no extra razor in the bathroom he glimpsed through the open door, no distinctly masculine touches in the decor. Nia had been raising their sons entirely on her own. Greg approached Marcus with a glass of water. "What do you think?" "They have a good home here," Marcus said. "Nia has done an amazing job." "She's incredible," Greg agreed. "You should see her schedule sometimes. Full-time job, school events, doctor appointments, soccer practice, all while making sure they always have home-cooked meals and feel loved." Marcus felt a twist of regret for all the years he'd missed. I have a lot to learn." The boys returned from washing up just as a knock sounded at the door. Nia opened it to reveal a woman with curly hair and a friendly smile carrying several shopping bags. "So this is him?" the woman asked, looking directly at Marcus. "Marcus, this is my friend Rachel," Nia introduced them. "Rachel, this is Marcus." "The famous Marcus," Rachel said, giving him an appraising look. "I brought you some essentials." She handed him one of the bags: clothes, toiletries, and a phone charger. "Wasn't sure what size you wear, but I guessed from Nia's description." "Thank you," Marcus said, touched by the thoughtfulness of this stranger. "That's very kind." "Rachel is coming to dinner with us," Nia explained. "She's been curious to meet you since I called her from the airport." "I've heard about you for years," Rachel told Marcus. "The boys look exactly like you." "It's actually a little weird seeing you all together." Leo tugged at Marcus's pant leg. "Dad, can I show you my soccer trophies?" The room fell silent at Leo's use of dad. Nia and Marcus exchanged a look. "Boys," Nia said gently, "let's all sit down for a minute." They gathered in the living room, the twins on the small sofa between Nia and Marcus, while Greg and Rachel sat in nearby chairs. "You called Marcus Dad just now," Nia said to Leo. "How does that make you feel?" Leo shrugged. "Good. He is our dad, right?" "Yes," Nia confirmed. "But this is all very new. For everyone." Max studied Marcus's face carefully. "If you're our dad, why don't you live with us?" The direct question hung in the air. Marcus took a deep breath. "That's a very good question," he said. "Your mom and I knew each other a long time ago, before you were born. We lost touch with each other, and I didn't know about you until today on the airplane." "But why do you look so much like us?" Leo pressed. "Because that's how families work," Marcus explained simply. "Children often look like their parents. You both have my blue eyes and blonde hair." Max's brow furrowed in concentration. "Are you our dad for real? Not just today?" "Yes, Max," Marcus said firmly. "I'm your dad for real, not just today, forever." "Are you going to disappear again?" Max asked, his small voice filled with a concern no 6-year-old should have to feel. Marcus felt his heart break a little at the question. He moved from the couch to kneel in front of Max, looking directly into eyes that mirrored his own. "No, Max. I promise I will never disappear. I didn't know about you before, but now that I do, I will always be your dad. Always." Leo, never one to stay serious for long, bounced on the sofa. "So, can we go to your office with the games?" "Absolutely," Marcus smiled. "As soon as I get it set up here in Los Angeles." "And you'll come to our school for the science thing?" Max asked, still needing reassurance. "I will be there," Marcus promised. "Front row." Rachel cleared her throat. "I hate to interrupt this beautiful moment, but I'm starving." "Shouldn't we head to Moonlight Diner?" "Yes!" Leo jumped up. "They have the best milkshakes. And burgers," Max added, "with the sauce on the side." "On the side," Marcus nodded. "Just like I prefer." As everyone prepared to leave for dinner, Marcus's phone rang. He checked the screen. It was his mother calling. "I need to take this," he told Nia. "It's my mom." "Go ahead," she said. "We'll finish getting ready." Marcus stepped onto the small balcony off the living room and answered the call. "Hi, Mom," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Marcus? Are you okay? You sound strange." His mother's concerned voice came through the phone. "Mom, I'm fine." "Better than fine. But I have something important to tell you." Marcus paused, looking through the glass door at the twins getting their shoes on. "Mom, you have grandsons. 2 of them. Twin boys." There was a long silence, then his mother's shocked voice. "What?" "Marcus, what are you saying?" "I just found out today," he explained, his words tumbling out. "Remember Nia from college? We were on the same flight from New York, and she had these 2 boys with her. They're 6 years old, Mom, and they look exactly like me. They're mine. I have sons." "Oh my goodness," his mother gasped. "Twins?" Are you sure? Positive? They look exactly like my childhood photos. Same eyes, same smile, everything. What are their names? His mother asked, her voice trembling. Leo and Max. They're amazing, Mom. Smart, funny, beautiful kids. We're coming, his mother said decisively. Your father and I will be on the next flight to Los Angeles. I was hoping you'd say that, Marcus admitted. They should meet their grandparents. As he ended the call, Marcus looked back through the door at his newly discovered family. They were all ready to go, waiting for him to join them for dinner. For the first time in his adult life, Marcus Johnson was part of something more important than business deals and corporate success. He was a father, and as he rejoined the group, the reality of that new identity filled him with both terror and joy in equal measure. Marcus rejoined the group, his face showing a mix of emotions after the phone call. My parents are booking flights to Los Angeles as we speak, he announced. They want to meet the boys right away. More grandparents? Leo asked excitedly. Do they bring presents like Grandma does? Nia laughed. Leo, that's not polite. It's okay, Marcus smiled. And yes, Leo, I suspect they'll bring presents. They've been waiting a long time for grandchildren. The dinner at Moonlight Diner was a lively affair, with Leo chattering non-stop and Max gradually warming up to his new father. By the end of the evening, Marcus had learned about their favorite cartoons, school projects, and friends. When they finally said goodnight, Rachel offered Marcus her pull-out couch until he found a place to stay. It's just 3 blocks from Nia's apartment, she explained. You can join them for breakfast tomorrow before school. The next morning, Marcus woke early on Rachel's pull-out couch. The room was filled with framed photos of Rachel with Nia and the twins at various outings and celebrations. He had been part of none of these memories. After a quick shower and change into the clothes Rachel had bought him, Marcus walked the 3 blocks to Nia's apartment, arriving just before 7 o'clock. He knocked tentatively. The door flew open to reveal Leo in mismatched pajamas, toothbrush hanging from his mouth. "Dad!" he exclaimed, spraying toothpaste. "You're here!" "Leo, finish brushing your teeth," Nia called from inside. She appeared behind her son, already dressed for work in a simple blouse and skirt. "Good morning, Marcus. Come in, it's a bit chaotic." Why, chaotic was an understatement. The small apartment buzzed with morning activity. Max was carefully packing his backpack at the dining table while eating cereal. A half-made lunch sat on the kitchen counter. The television played a children's show at low volume. "I thought I'd join your morning routine," Marcus explained. "If that's okay." "Of course," Nia said. "We leave for school in 30 minutes. There's coffee in the pot." Marcus poured himself a cup and watched the controlled chaos. Nia moved efficiently between tasks, signing permission slips, checking homework, toasting bread. "Dad, look at my dinosaur book for show and tell," Max said, his usual reserve slightly diminished as he held up a colorful book. "That's great, Max," Marcus said, moving to sit beside him. "Which dinosaur is your favorite again?" As Max explained the merits of various prehistoric creatures, Leo returned from the bathroom, now dressed in a bright red t-shirt and jeans. "Dad, can you help with my shoes?" "The laces are tricky." Marcus knelt down and tied Leo's sneakers, a simple act that felt monumentally significant. "Boys, 5 minutes until we leave," Nia announced. "Max, finish your cereal. Leo, grab your homework folder." 25 minutes later, they were walking through the gates of Westside Elementary School. Other parents nodded to Nia, some giving curious glances at Marcus. "Miss Taylor." A woman in her 50s approached them. "Are these the homework sheets you mentioned?" "Yes, Ms. Daniels," Nia replied. "Oh, this is Marcus Johnson. He's the boy's father." The teacher's eyebrows shot up. "Oh, I'm Karen Daniels, the boy's first-grade teacher. This is quite a surprise. I didn't realize the boy's father was in the picture." "It's a recent development," Marcus explained, extending his hand. "Very recent." "Well, it's wonderful to meet you," Ms. Daniels said, recovering quickly. "The boys are doing very well in school. Max is one of our strongest readers, and Leo has a real gift for mathematics." I'm planning to attend Max's science presentation on Thursday, Marcus told her. Excellent. Parent involvement makes such a difference, Ms. Daniels smiled. I should get back to my classroom. Children will be arriving any minute. After saying goodbye to the twins with promises to see them after school, Marcus and Nia walked to a nearby coffee shop called West Side Coffee. So that's the morning rush, Nia said as they settled at a small table with their drinks. Every day, 7 days a week. You make it look easy, Marcus said, but I know it's not. It's what parents do, Nia shrugged. Now we should talk about the practical aspects of this situation. Marcus nodded, switching into the business mode that felt more familiar. I've been thinking about that. First, I want to establish legal paternity. You want a DNA test, Nia stated. Not because I doubt they're mine, Marcus clarified quickly. I know they are. But for legal purposes, to establish my rights and responsibilities as their father. That makes sense, Nia agreed. I have no objection. I also want to draft a formal co-parenting agreement, Marcus continued, pulling out his tablet. I've set up a video call with my lawyer at 9 o'clock if that works for you. Nia looked surprised. You move fast. When it matters, yes, Marcus said, and nothing has ever mattered more than this. At 9 o'clock sharp, Marcus's lawyer appeared on the tablet screen. Good morning, Marcus. This must be Miss Taylor. Yes, this is Nia, Marcus confirmed. Stephanie, we need to draft a co-parenting agreement that's fair to everyone involved. For the next hour, they discussed financial support, visitation schedules, and decision-making authority. Nia was firm about maintaining primary physical custody, but open to Marcus having regular time with the boys. I want to be clear about something, Nia said during the discussion. I don't need or want your money for myself. Any financial support should go directly to the boys' needs and future. I understand, Marcus said. But I want to contribute to their education, healthcare, extracurricular activities, everything. When the call ended, they had the framework of an agreement that Stephanie would formalize and send for their review. There's one more thing, Marcus said. I'm looking at houses in this neighborhood. Nia's eyes widened. Houses? Not apartments? Marcus showed her his tablet where he had bookmarked several properties. This one is only 10 minutes from your apartment. It has a backyard where the boys could play and 3 bedrooms, so they could each have their own room when they stay with me. You're really doing this, Nia said softly. Completely changing your life. My life changed the moment I saw them on that plane, Marcus replied. I'm just catching up to reality. After their meeting, Marcus called his parents again. They had booked flights arriving the next afternoon. We can't wait to meet them, his mother said, her voice emotional. Your father hasn't stopped looking at the photo you sent. They look exactly like you did at that age. They're amazing, Mom, Marcus said. You're going to love them. Later that afternoon, Marcus met the boys after school. Leo immediately showed him a math worksheet with a gold star, while Max was more reserved, carefully observing his father's reactions. Back at Nia's apartment, Marcus sat on the floor with Max, examining his dinosaur collection. This one is new, Max said, holding up a small figure. Parasaurolophus, Marcus identified it correctly, known for the hollow crest on its head. Max's eyes lit up. You really do know dinosaurs. I told you I did, Marcus smiled. That evening, after the boys were in bed, Nia and Marcus sat at the small dining table talking quietly. You were good with them today, Nia admitted. Especially with Max. He doesn't warm up to people easily. He's like I was as a kid, Marcus said. I see so much of myself in both of them. We should talk about us, Nia said suddenly. About what happened 7 years ago. You mean our breakup? Marcus asked. Yes. I loved you, Marcus. When you chose Silicon Valley over our relationship, it broke my heart. I thought you would come with me, Marcus admitted. When you said your career needed to be in Los Angeles, I had to choose. I made the wrong choice. Their conversation was interrupted by a cry from the boys' room. They both rushed in to find Max sitting up in bed, tears streaming down his face. "Nightmare," Nia explained, sitting on one side of Max's bed. Marcus hesitated, then sat on the other side. "What happened in your dream, Max?"
"Everyone disappeared," Max whispered. "I was all alone."
Marcus gently put his arm around his son's small shoulders.
"That sounds scary, but you're not alone. Mom is here, Leo is here, and I'm here too."
"You won't disappear again?" Max asked, looking up with those familiar blue eyes. The question hit Marcus hard. "No, Max. I promise I won't disappear again. I'm your dad, and I'll always be your dad. Nothing can change that." Max leaned against Marcus, his small body gradually relaxing as he drifted back to sleep. Marcus stayed with Max until the boy was sleeping soundly again. As he carefully stood up, trying not to disturb the bed, he looked down at his son's peaceful face and made a silent vow to never let him feel abandoned again. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the kitchen of his Culver City home, flipping pancakes while wearing a dinosaur-patterned tie that Max had given him last month for his birthday. The house, just 10 minutes from Nia's apartment, had become a true home with children's artwork on the refrigerator and a height chart marked with colorful lines on the kitchen doorway. "Dad, are they ready yet?" Leo called from the dining room where he was setting the table. "Almost," Marcus replied. "Is everyone here?" "Grandma and Grandpa are helping Max with his science model in the living room," Leo reported. "Mom just texted she's 5 minutes away." Marcus smiled at how easily Leo had adjusted to their new family arrangement. The past 6 months had transformed all their lives in ways he could never have imagined that day on flight UA 334. The doorbell rang, and Leo raced to answer it. "It's Mom!" he shouted, throwing open the door. Nia entered carrying a bakery box. "I brought the cake for our celebration dinner," she said, setting it on the counter. "You didn't have to do that," Marcus said. "I ordered everything from that Italian place the boys like." "I know, but it's a special occasion." Nia smiled. "Exactly 6 months since we landed at LAX, since you found out about the boys." "Best day of my life," Marcus said quietly, even if I was terrified. From the living room came the sound of Max's excited voice explaining something to his grandparents. Marcus's parents had moved temporarily to Los Angeles 3 months ago, renting an apartment nearby to spend time with their newfound grandsons. "How is work?" Marcus asked Nia. "Good. My editor loved the feature piece on urban education," she replied. "How about you? How's the new Los Angeles office?" "Growing faster than we expected," Marcus said. "Sarah's running the San Francisco operations smoothly. The 3 days here, 2 days there schedule is working well." The restructuring of Tech Vision had been his first priority after confirming his paternity through DNA tests. The results had surprised no one. Both boys shared his genetic profile. The legal paperwork establishing his rights and responsibilities as their father was completed within weeks. "Leo, careful with those glasses," Nia called as Leo carried cups to the table. "Remember what happened last time?" "I know, Mom," Leo said, concentrating hard on his task. Marcus's mother appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Something smells wonderful," she said. "Max wanted me to tell you his solar system model is complete." "I'll come see it right after I finish these pancakes," Marcus promised. His mother watched him with a fond expression. "I never thought I'd see the day when my workaholic son would be making dinosaur pancakes in his own kitchen for his children." "Things change," Marcus shrugged, but his smile was warm. "For the better," his mother added. "You seem happy, Marcus." Truly happy. The past 6 months had been filled with new experiences for Marcus. He had attended his first parent-teacher conference, learned to navigate the complicated social dynamics of first-grade birthday parties, and discovered that he actually enjoyed coaching Leo's soccer team on Saturday mornings. Max had gradually warmed to him, their bond growing stronger through shared interests in science and dinosaurs. The quiet boy now regularly called Marcus with exciting facts he'd discovered, or to ask questions about how things worked. The doorbell rang again. "That must be Greg and David," Nia said, moving to answer it. Greg entered with his boyfriend David carrying a large gift bag. "Sorry we're late. Traffic on Olympic Boulevard was terrible." "Uncle Greg!" Leo raced to hug him. "Did you bring the game you promised?" "It's right here," Greg confirmed, handing over the gift bag. "Where's Max?" "Living room with Grandpa. They're finishing the solar system model." As everyone gathered for the celebration dinner, Marcus took a moment to look around his dining room. His parents chatted comfortably with Nia. Greg and David were helping the boys set up their new board game. This diverse group had become a family over the past 6 months, connected by their love for the twins. The Italian food arrived and they all sat down to eat. Marcus had ordered everyone's favorites: pasta with sauce on the side for Max, extra meatballs for Leo, vegetarian options for David. "Before we eat," Marcus said, standing up with his water glass, "I want to say something." He looked around the table. 6 months ago today, my life changed completely when I boarded a flight from New York to Los Angeles. I thought the $50 million deal I had just closed was the most important thing that would happen that week. He smiled at the twins. I was very wrong. Leo grinned while Max ducked his head, pleased but shy about the attention. "I want to thank all of you for welcoming me into this family," Marcus continued, "especially you, Nia." His eyes met hers across the table. "You raised our sons beautifully for 6 years on your own, and then you were generous enough to let me be part of their lives." Nia's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "They always deserved to know you," she said softly. As the meal progressed, Marcus's phone rang. He glanced at the screen. It was Stephen Morris, the Singapore investor whose $50 million had been the reason for his New York trip 6 months ago. Without hesitation, Marcus silenced the call and placed the phone face down on the table. "Important call?" Nia asked, having noticed the name on the screen. "Nothing that can't wait," Marcus replied. "This is more important." After dinner, while his parents helped the boys with their new game, Marcus and Nia stepped out onto the back patio for a moment alone. "I have something for you," Marcus said, handing her a small wrapped package. Nia opened it to find a silver frame containing a photograph of the 4 of them, Marcus, Nia, Leo, and Max, taken at Max's science fair last month. They were all smiling, looking like a real family. "The boys made me the Best Dad trophy last week," Marcus said, pointing to the handmade clay creation prominently displayed on his mantle. "But I realized I never properly thanked you." "For what?" Nia asked. "For giving me the greatest gift possible. For raising our sons when I wasn't there. For letting me be their father now." Nia touched the photograph gently. "We've come a long way from that awkward moment on the plane." "Yes," Marcus agreed. "Though I still think about it every day. How different my life would be if I had been assigned any other seat, or if your flight hadn't been cancelled." "Maybe it wasn't just chance," Nia suggested. "Maybe it was supposed to happen exactly when it did." Marcus looked at her thoughtfully. Their relationship had remained strictly focused on co-parenting, but lately he had found himself wondering if there might still be something more between them. The way she sometimes looked at him made him think she might be wondering the same thing. Inside, they heard Leo's excited voice. "Grandpa, look how high I can jump," followed by his grandfather's enthusiastic praise. Marcus smiled. "My father always wanted a child who loved sports. I was always more interested in computers and business. And now he has Leo," Nia said, "while you and Max share the science connection." "It's perfect, isn't it?" Marcus said, almost like it was planned that way. They rejoined the others inside, where Max was carefully explaining the rules of the board game to everyone. Marcus watched his quieter son with pride. Over the past 6 months, Max had become more confident, more willing to share his knowledge with others. As night fell and stars appeared above Los Angeles, the extended family gathered in Marcus's backyard. The twins were showing their grandparents how to use the telescope Marcus had bought them. Greg approached Marcus with a glass of wine. "6 months ago, I was ready to hate you," he admitted. "I was so protective of Nia and the boys." "I know," Marcus nodded. "I'm glad you gave me a chance." "You've proven yourself," Greg said. "Those boys adore you." Across the yard, Marcus caught Nia watching him with the same expression she'd had on the plane 6 months ago, a mixture of wonder and something deeper, something that made his heart beat faster. The boys called out excitedly as they found a constellation in the night sky. Marcus moved to join them, showing them how to adjust the telescope for a clearer view. As he knelt between his sons, their small shoulders pressing against him on either side, Marcus Johnson, successful CEO, millionaire, now father, realized that his life's most important journey wasn't the one that led to Silicon Valley success, but the unexpected flight that finally brought him home. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen